Hello, everybody. I'm Sean Reynolds from Sportsnet, about to be joined by Ken Wiebe from the Winnipeg Free Press from Seattle. Together, we are Kenny and Renny. This is the Kenny and Renny post-game show after a game that I can tell it has a lot of the fans perturbed out there. I can see from the messages I'm getting a lot of, blame the ref kind of messages that I'm getting, which, are kind of the last stop on the what's wrong with this team. I feel like I can't blame them. So I'll blame the refs on this one. I know a lot of people suggesting that the Jets are off and this is just not them, and all these kind of comments. And you know what? I can tell we need to talk about this. So you know what? Why don't you hop in to my 2007 Toyota Yaris with me? Watch your head on the way in. It's a little bit low down, and I'm going to take you on the Jim Pattison Toyota on Region opening drive for this show, because we need to have a little talk. And what's better than doing that just by kind of cruising around the neighborhood? Or if you're out in the country, like I grew up, the back roads, you know what I mean, where every once in a while you bump into someone else who's just driving around the back roads and it ends up being a back road party. It's a good time. It's a good growing up in the country. Anyways, I digress. Let's get to this game that all the folks out there who are just kind of telling me about how much they're off. And, I think a lot of folks are going to take a look at their last game and think they won. Everything was really good. This was a return to something, which you all know if you listen to the last show, I didn't feel was a return to something. I thought it was the Jets kind of maintaining the standard of play that they had been having for some time with, a degree of difficulty that was lower against the Vancouver Canucks. And I contend that what you saw here tonight was very much a continuation of that, except the Seattle Kraken this year have been a better team, and the degree of difficulty was a little higher on this night. The Jets ended up on the right side of that degree of difficulty in the game against the Vancouver Canucks, and they end up on the wrong side of that degree of difficulty again on this night against the Seattle Kraken. And I guess I can't buy in to this thought process, the roller coaster riding that says, oh, the Jets were really off tonight. Oh, they were really on before that. And all the wins that they had was an example of them being themselves. And all the losses are an example of them not being themselves. Here's a good way to look at this. Because so often when you root for a team, you can only see things through their lens, right? And it's your team lost because your team didn't do something right. The other team couldn't possibly beat your team on their best day if your team was on their best day, is how most fans tend to think of things. So when a loss goes their way, they can't really see what the other team did right, or it was only, this didn't happen, or the ref made the wrong call at the wrong time. I had someone tell me that, and we can talk about it. I had someone tell me that they thought the game turned on a bad call by the refs involving Niederreiter, Mason Marchment. I guess we'll talk about that when Ken gets here. I think a good way to kind of take a look at another way around this is to say, okay, let's reverse the roles in this game. And let's say what happened tonight with the Seattle Kraken happened with the Winnipeg Jets, and what happened with the Winnipeg Jets happened with the Seattle Kraken. Let's see how we would assign value to what happened in that game. Because I can tell you right now, I can tell you what would be happening in our chat room if the Winnipeg Jets had been down 3-2 in the third period. They would have come back to win this game 5-3. We would have talked about the perseverance of a resilient group that went down not once, not twice, but thrice in this game and found a way, Simpsons reference for all those out there who may have missed that. In each of those cases, the Seattle Kraken offered an opportunity to break in this game by a Winnipeg Jets team that has a reputation for being extremely stingy and hard to score against, and therefore extremely hard to come back against. I don't believe they lost a game before this game when they were leading going into the third period. And yet the Seattle Kraken pushed back and did so in fairly short order, right? Instead of the Winnipeg Jets building on their momentum, the Seattle Kraken, in a number of different cases, jumped up and halted that momentum very shortly after the Winnipeg Jets grabbed that momentum. Where have we heard about that before? We talked about it all last year. We talked about the Winnipeg Jets doing it in their very last game. And yet the Seattle Kraken go and do that. The team that a lot of you, if you don't think of it from that perspective, or thinking a team that the Winnipeg Jets just should have beat and moved on from. And then we see that they capitalize on that little bit of momentum in the third period when they score to tie it up and then score to go ahead. And then if it had been the Winnipeg Jets who had come back and won this game 5-3, we would have talked about their third period and the way that they shut this down, and that while they offered the other team a number of shots and some zone time, they protected the guts of the ice, allowed their goaltender to see the puck. Their goaltender played great backstopping them on the way to that victory. And they did a good job of pressuring the Winnipeg Jets when the Jets were trying to score that empty netter, and chipped it past them. And as they were pressured, made the right play to get the puck over to a guy, Jordan Eberle, for a wide open net. That's what we would be saying if the Winnipeg Jets won this game. And a lot of people out there, especially Jets fans, would believe this was an inevitability for the Winnipeg Jets to win on a night like this. That is how it would be perceived. So let's do the reverse of that, because if we're going to assign all those values that we typically do the Winnipeg Jets to the Seattle Kraken, we got to ask ourselves what's going on with the Winnipeg Jets that they were not able to lock down the lead 3 times on this night, why they were not able to push in the third period, why this is another example of a game that we're seeing that, as I talked about at the beginning of the year, the Winnipeg Jets' ability to score their way back into games that they fall behind in is not what it was last season. And definitely the idea that we've talked about at length on this program as we get very, very close to being 25% through the season, there was nothing about this game that dispels the conversation that we've been having that the Winnipeg Jets are a slower team than they were last season, that they don't have the ability to grind and roll on a team the way they did last year, that they don't have the ability to tilt the ice. It's what I'm saying here is this is a continuation of what you saw the last game and the game before that and the game before that and the game before that. Now, do I think that this is the Winnipeg Jets at their best? Do I think this is their A game? Ridiculous, by the way. Of course not. I don't think this is as good as the Winnipeg Jets get. I think there's other places to go. But I'm not going to sit here and try and tell you, and rainbows and unicorns, that this is the best game that the Seattle Kraken have ever played in their lives, and this is them at their peak, and it barely got them past a Winnipeg Jets team that hasn't really started yet. Yes, the Winnipeg Jets have places to go. They can get better than they have. But what we are also seeing from the Winnipeg Jets, there's a lot of commonalities from game to game that we're seeing over and over again, that people are waiting for them to wake up. And I think what they're waiting for is the return of the Winnipeg Jets from last year. And maybe those people need to get used to the idea that this is a different team. You hear it all the time from players. If you try to assign value to what they're doing now compared to last year or the year before, and don't think for a second that teams don't build cultures and strategies that pass from year to year to year. But it is true. Every team, every year is a different team. The Winnipeg Jets are a different team than they were last year. And the idea that the Winnipeg Jets, and I know a lot of people will be waiting on this and feeling that it's not happening, because the Winnipeg Jets coaches themselves talk about waiting on this to happen. But we're getting to the stage where we're almost 25% through the season. There may just have to be an acceptance that this is not the Winnipeg Jets of yesteryear, and the ability to do what they've done in the past is maybe just not available to this team. And maybe it's going to look different, because right now your Winnipeg Jets are sitting third in the Central Division. They are tied with the 2 wild card teams in points and in games. They sit in third by virtue of more regulation wins. But there's some pretty good teams below the playoff line right now. Edmonton Oilers, who always start slow and make a push towards the end of the year. This Vegas Golden Knights, who similarly, you would think they're not entirely done for. Maybe a team like the Wild. Right now, the Winnipeg Jets are in the thick of it. And when they play games against the Canucks, the Seattle Kraken, the San Jose Sharks, who are sniffing around that, and even the Calgary Flames, who they have 2 wins on this season, but those were tight games, The Winnipeg Jets look like they are in those games. This is not a team that is a step above, that is dusting off opposition the way that it did last year. The Winnipeg Jets look right now, if you take a look at where they're in the standings, they look like they're right where they belong, in a dogfight, and 1 point out of being spit below the playoff line. That's the Winnipeg Jets reality right now. It's not smoke and mirrors. It's not, it's a little bit of a tough game. If you think that the Winnipeg Jets 4 out of 5 game losing streak here right now is not who they are, but the opportunistic scoring at the beginning of the year that got them over the line and had them with that hot start is more indicative, the answer probably lies somewhere in the middle. And I think what we're seeing from the Winnipeg Jets based on their play is they are right where they deserve to be right now, and that's in a dogfight. It's another way of me saying right now, the Winnipeg Jets, tied with the teams below them, as close as they are to the playoff line, this is who they are. And I think people, that's my personal take on it. Maybe they'll prove me wrong. But remember, I said it because I'm starting to see enough of the Winnipeg Jets. Yes, they've got places to go with their game. So does every other team in the league right now. You have to ask yourself, is their ceiling that much higher than everybody else's? You also have to ask themselves if they're capable of doing the things that you are sitting waiting for them to do because you watched them win a President's Trophy doing it last season. That's my take on this as we continue cruising in my Toyota Yaris, 2000 Toyota Yaris, soon to be next year, a 2027 RAV4. I'm so excited for that. You should come on down with it. Maybe a whole bunch of us can go down. We can get like a fleet of Toyotas, and then Kenny and I will get some stickers made up, and we can like put Kenny and Renny bumper stickers on our brand new Toyotas and drive around together. We can be like a whole gang. It would be great. Either way, you don't need to wait for when Renny's going to go get his. You can go take care of it right now, because this November, it's time to Toyota. Jim Pattison Toyota on Regent. Finance the 2025 Tacoma truck from 5.69% with up to a 1% loyalty rate reduction and a $1,750 accessory credit. But hurry, the offer ends December 1st. Getting about halfway through the month here, folks. Visit Jim Pattison Toyota on Regent for a test drive today. All right, that's enough out of me. I'm sure a lot of you are thinking that. Time to bring in the man with the best music in the business. Here comes Kenny. Kenny, a lot of people don't think that game looked very good for the Winnipeg Jets, but I'm betting they're thinking things look pretty good right now with you stepping into the frame in your Vittorio Rossi suit, looking like $1 million. And hey, folks, if you want to be able to pick up any kind of situation, as drab as it may be, you know what to do. Head on down to Vittorio Rossi, walk in, loudly proclaim Kenny and Renny sent you. Ask for Frankie and the boys. They will do you up, right, Ken? You're looking good. I want to see if your analysis is good on this night. What'd you see in that game?
You recognize the tie, I hope. There you go. It's a Sean Reynolds hand-me-down.
Well, it's a Vittorio
Rossi hand-me-down, so it's good.
And hand-me-down everlasting. Sometimes I shouldn't be saying this. Hand-me-down sometimes are just a straight up, here you go. You know what I mean? Because like sometimes we don't need to mix up our brands. Sometimes I'm just like, you know what? You know who'd look better in this than Renny? Nobody. But someone who could come close is Kenny. So let's hand it on to Kenny. Anyway.
Yes, sir. Handing it on, to the game. Well, Sean, breakdown central for the Jetsons here in this one. So some strides in the second period, I guess you would say. First period kind of even, but I don't think the Jets were at their best in that first period either. I think mostly the Kraken dictated the terms, which, I mean, they play a structured game. I mean, they play the type of structured game that we've seen the Jets play a lot in the last 3 seasons prior to this one. They weren't giving a lot of quantity up, but the quality they gave up is far too high. I sense some frustration setting in, both in terms of Scott O'Neill's post game and the players. I mean, this is obvious. They've been talking a lot about being better defensively, being better in their own end, clamping down on coverage. Yet 3 of the 5 goals scored today were a result of bad coverage by the Jets. So that's a concern. I mean, it's not a sound the alarm five bell fire necessarily, but it's also something that they just can't ignore and say, oh, well, we get a few guys back, everything will be fine. Well, yeah, when those guys are back to full speed, maybe it'll be fine. Maybe it'll be back to a little bit more normalcy. But until that happens, Sean, there is concern.
Hold on a sec. What's normalcy, Ken?
What's normalcy for the structure that they play? I mean, Sean, we don't see guys being left at the back door wide open. The core group hasn't changed. I mean, there are other pieces that, to me, that's got nothing to do with team speed or anything else. It's just bad coverage. And these are players who are used to providing good coverage. So that's my counter to what you're saying. I mean,
I think Ken may be frozen. I don't think it's me. I love it when Ken tries to counter my points and then all of a sudden he gets cut off. You may think that I'm doing it. I'm not. Maybe it's I talk a lot about the hockey gods on this show. Maybe it's the podcast gods, not liking where Kenny was going with that and just removing him from the show. Maybe that's exactly what's going on. I don't think, Ken's probably just blathering away right now, thinking that he's still in the show, not realizing that he's frozen.
I'm frozen or you're frozen?
You're frozen.
Oh, good. So you didn't hear any of that?
You're back. No, you should come back. You know what? I'm guessing it was the best performance you've ever given on this show. So
anyways, I'm not ready to go as far as you are, is what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you're going to be wrong. I'm just saying that I need to see.
And don't ride the fence. Don't ride that.
I'm not riding the fence. I'm saying that these are correctable errors. These are correctable errors by players who are smart and have had the ability to defend better within that structure. Now, it's true that they aren't as fast a team. That's 100% true. But I don't think leaving Jordan Eberle wide open on the back door had anything to do with speed. So that is a correctable error. I don't expect it to be happening in game 40 or game 60 or game 75, but it's happening now. It's happening now. So you have to fix it.
This is my point.
This is what?
Kyle Connor makes a career off of getting lost in defenses and waiting until defenders look a certain way and then sliding into a different spot. And we sit there and we talk about how brilliant he is because, truthfully, he is. He's brilliant at it. He's very good at seeing when defenders look a certain way, understanding that there's a blind spot available now, making a move, getting into a lane, and boom, it's in the back of the net. And when he does that, we sit there and we talk about the brilliance of it and how good the Winnipeg Jets are. And we never, when that happens, say, oh my God, this other team and blah, blah. And Kyle Connor would never score a goal if these guys would just cover him properly. Like Jordan Eberle does a really good job of getting lost on that play, goes around the net. I can tell you right now, the defenders on that play, when they turn around and see him there, are thinking, what the heck happened? I thought he was on the other side of the net. Like, that's good play. Now, is it ironclad defending? No, and I'm not saying that for a second, but what I'm saying is hockey's a game of mistakes, and you got to give credit where it's due. Are the Jets making more mistakes than they did in years past? Yes, tons. They probably are, but why? Why are they? Let's handle it like that. Why are the Jets making more mistakes, Ken? Is it casualness? Is it because they haven't got to their game yet? Or is there something behind their inability to do things that is creating more mistakes?
Yeah, it's a sleepy start. There's no other way to chop it up. I mean, we've been talking about this about all teams. I mean, the Oilers some nights look like they gave up a 9 spot to Colorado, then go out and win a couple overtime games. Everything's fine, So, Dallas has looked very sluggish. Then they go out and put up 7 on the Montreal Canadiens. So, to me, I see this as first quarter of the season doldrums. Certainly not their best. They'll need to be much better if they want to be more than just a team battling between third place and the wild card. And then, like you said, if you're on the razor's edge, you can be out if you don't play better. Scott O'Neill was very frustrated after. He said, with this group, normally you take a 1-goal lead into the third period, you're not giving up 3 goals and losing the game. So the reason why I'm not ready to say that, definitively the Jets can't do it. They gave up fewer than 20 shots today, Sean. Now they gave up 5 goals, which is concerning, but some of the structural issues have led to, 30 plus shots against, and then it was Connor Hellebuck stealing the show. Now today, I just think that the Jets were, had big blunders within the game itself. So anyways, again, lots of concerns for sure. Lots of things they need to do better, but I'm not ready to definitively say, with with Dylan Samberg playing 1 game, Perfetti with 3, Lowry with 5, that the core group from this group can't right the ship and be better defensively, like has been their calling card for the better part of, 2.5, if not 3 years. We know they had the big stumble in the first year of the bonus regime where they abandoned the system. I don't see this as them abandoning the system, Sean. So they're just not playing it good enough.
Going into this game, they were the 6th best defensive team in the NHL.
Yeah, but we're watching. They don't look like that. Do you think they're the 6th best right now today?
Well, maybe not today, but
I mean, their analytics don't suggest that they're the 6th best, Sean. Underlying numbers have not been close to being in the top.
No, and they haven't been good on offense either, and the Jets have been riding either side of that. But I go back to the point I made in the last show. Everyone watched the Jets go out and win a President's Trophy. And let's just be honest with ourselves. If you've been a fan of a team that won the President's Trophy, you witnessed an exceptional season. Because what you saw as a team, you don't win that many games and it be a fluke. Well, you win them because you do things consistently over and over and over and over and over and over again. So that what you witnessed last year is an abnormality. So to expect that the Jets are just going to step back into an abnormality, I'm saying I think that's too much to ask. And I think everyone's thinking that. And I think the coaches are thinking that. And sure, you want but the fact of the matter is the vast majority of teams are mistake prone, especially throughout the season, especially early in the season. Their effort level can dip. I mean, Vince Dunn, his effort slips on that Kyle Connor penalty where he basically has positioning on the puck and he doesn't skate hard for it until he realizes Kyle Connor is going to try and outskate him. That's a mistake. He's going to hear about that tomorrow in his meeting. His coaches are going to say, we've got another level to get to. Every team's going to say that. I guess maybe what I'm pushing back on with you is the idea that it's just snap your fingers and the Winnipeg Jets go back to being a team that wins back-to-back lowest goals against in the NHL for 2 straight years. And that's just the norm. And that's just what happens. Maybe the effort level required to do that 2 years in a row means that you don't have the gas in the tank to do it for a 3rd straight year. So I'm not challenging your suggestion that the Winnipeg Jets can be a better team defensively. I guess I'm challenging the idea that it says, oh, well, we're 6th in the NHL. That's ridiculous. Let's crumple that up. Most teams would kill to be the 6th best defensive team in the NHL, and that they're just going to go back to being the number 1 hardest team to score against in the league, and we're going to lock it down and be airtight, and there you go. I'm challenging the idea that it's that they may be able to get back there this year.
And that's fine. And I'm arguing the opposite. I'm willing to give them more than 17 games as a benefit of the doubt. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I'm not definitively going on game 17 and saying they can't figure it out, because to me, a lot of this stuff is not overly complicated. I think that in the coaches' meetings that they're having about the breakdowns, we're not asking something that is like Haley's Comet here. It's asking you to play your position a little bit better and drill down in the details. That's something they've done now for an extended period of time. Now, every team is trying to do that for sure. And it's not just going to happen snap of your fingers, which is why I'm saying I'm willing to give them another, if this is happening in game 40, by all means, let's make some definitive statements. And again, I know you're not saying it's definitive that they can't. I absolutely am leaving the door open for the possibility that they're not going to be a top 5 defensive team. They're not playing like one right now. So to me, this is just the underlying numbers catching up to the Jets. And Sean, we've talked about this. Now, like I said from the beginning, the fact the Jets are playing non-playoff teams that are currently over the line, it's year to year, things change a lot. But what we know is the schedule's about to get more difficult, right? Carolina's coming to town, right? And they're missing 5 defensemen, but they're finding a way to do it. Why? Because they're sticking to the structure that's made them successful, right? So this is why I'm saying they're a little bit more established when it comes to the defensive game, but the Jets have now put together, when you're first in the NHL 2 years in a row, I'm just willing to give them a little bit of a longer leash.
Okay.
Now,
I'm going to
that's
say
all.
Can they be, or maybe better because and if they don't, it's like, well, they could be.
No, that's not, or of course they can be better.
Or do you expect them
I expect them to be better
able
when
to do what they did, not better.
No, I know. Well, you said they couldn't do it.
I never said that at all. I said that we need to open ourselves to the idea that what they did last year is not a possibility, the way that this roster is constructed. You sound to me like you're saying that this is just, it's the same core. This team can just lock back into what it's done the last couple of years. I think there's enough changes on this team that it changes enough of the makeup of the team that they may not be able to do what they did last year. I don't think they have the speed to do what they did last year. So I guess what I'm saying, you're saying you think they can, but here and now, do you expect the Jets to return to being the team they were last year, that impossible to play tight as a drum, on top of you, rolling on you for the vast majority of the game team that they've been in the previous 2 seasons? I want you on record for it.
Well, I'm not boa constrictor style. I'm not sure, but I want to see 10 more games of Dylan Samberg, because even Sean, in one game with Dylan Samberg, I like Neil Pionk's game a lot more than in the majority of the first 16. So I don't think they're going to win the President's Trophy. I'm with you there 100%. I do think they're a playoff team. And the only way they're going to be a playoff team is by playing stifling defensive hockey, right? Because they don't score enough otherwise to outscore teams 5-4. So yeah, I mean, I we'll have to see how she goes. I mean, I don't expect them to miss the playoffs. I don't expect them to, hang on for the 8th seed as a wildcard team. But in order for that to be true, they're going to have to revert to form, because that's their formula. That's their recipe. But they're not playing to that recipe nearly enough times in the 17 games. I mean, that is 100% true. And we've both been saying that for 17 games. Kyle Connor said again today, they haven't played one 60-minute game. So if that starts happening in games 25 and 35, now they're going to be concerned. But I just think there's more room for growth. I mean, like I said, this is not excuse land. Every team has injuries. I get it. But once these guys have a little bit more wind in their sails, then I expect to see a little bit more of the Jets team we've been seeing. If they can't get to that level, I expect changes to be made, Sean. I don't think the Jets are going to just have this as a write-off season. Kevin Cheveldayoff's not going to say, well, we overdid it in terms of size and we lost a lot of speed. Let's just fold up the tents and go home for the year. I mean, they'll try to get better if that's the case, if they're still struggling in games 40 to 60 with speed and some of the issues we've been talking about.
I'm going to tell you this. It's time to hand out the Pristine Roofing wake-up call. And I'm not going to do you dirty like that, Ken. I'm not going to do it to you. I'm not even going to do it to anyone.
It's okay to disagree, buddy. It's okay.
Exactly. I'm going to say that the Kenny and Renny divorce lawyer has gotten the Pristine Roofing wake-up call after a long time dormant. I think he was starting to miss our call, but there it is. The K&R divorce lawyer getting the Pristine Roofing inside.
Line 1.
And you know what that means. Time to give North and Rick the Pristine Roofing and Siding wake-up call. He's the one you want down at your place for any of your roofing, siding, and exterior needs. You can get a hold of him at 204-981-6289. You can also call Pristine Roofing directly at 204-237-7663. Give your home the Pristine Roofing and Siding wake-up call. You will be glad, folks, that you did. Okay, speaking of Dylan Samberg.
Sorry, my issue, Sean, if it's the case, we're not going to have a lot to talk about for the next 60-plus games if we're sure this is the end product for the Jets.
Well, you know that I never said that, but what I'm challenging you on is the idea that, and I'm challenging, to be honest, I'm challenging the thought process of the coaching staff. I'm challenging the thought process of the team. I'm challenging you on the idea that the Winnipeg Jets are built to return to what they were last year. I'm not saying they aren't, but I am telling you that I don't think that they have the makeup to be the team that they were last year. I think it's evident at this point. I think there's not nearly enough time that they tilt the ice the way that they did. Like the Jets won games last year because it was inevitable that they would. They controlled too much of the play. They pressed on you too often. They forced you so much that you were bound to make mistakes, and then they capitalized on those mistakes. Like their first goal tonight is a perfect example of how the Jets capitalize on mistakes, right? A Seattle player goes in and tries to get a hit in on the defender and then accidentally takes out his own guy. And now the Jets instantaneously recognize that they have a man advantage down the ice. Dylan DeMello joins the jump up the ice. They skate in. He gets the puck as he's the open guy. It's a 4-on-3. They work that to perfection. The Jets are still good at that. What they're not doing anywhere near as much as they did last year is pressuring teams to the point that they make mistake after mistake after mistake. Like I'm telling you right now, what wins of theirs this year, especially over the last 10 games when other teams started getting their feet underneath them, have that inevitable feel to them. And beyond that, the games that they fall behind in, when it used to feel inevitable, you just knew they were going to come back and they were going to tie it and win that game. How many times has there been that kind of inevitable feel to it? That inevitable feel comes when what you are seeing on the ice is undeniable. And there's patches. Like there was a couple times that we saw that from the Lowry line tonight. There was a couple times that we saw it from the Scheifele line, but it's not nearly enough. And yes, Adam Lowry needs more time to get going at full speed. And so does Dylan Samberg and so forth. And the new guys need time to get up to speed and to figure out the system. And Gus Nyquist needs to figure out how he's going to be a Winnipeg Jet. But I like, it's our job to analyze, not to lean on excuse after excuse after excuse to say there's still time for them to become something. It's our job to take a look at what's in front of us and do our best job of forecasting what's going to happen.
Of
so
course.
I'm not saying for a second that they can't possibly be that, but I'm definitively saying my opinion is I don't think they can.
Which is totally fine. Again, and I'm not arguing. My counter is that, do the Jets have the reigning Vezina Trophy winner in net who won the Hart? Yes. Do they have one of the best lines in hockey? Yes. Right now, they're not playing at the same level they were in games 1 to 10, but they're still one of the best lines in hockey. Josh Morrissey is going to be a top 5 Norris candidate. So I see enough pieces of that puzzle that lead me to believe that they're going to be better than they are so far. I don't think they're going to win the President's Trophy. And Sean, we said this during the offseason. If the President's Trophy doesn't matter and the Jets need to be playing their best hockey from games 65 to 82 and then into the playoffs, then what does it matter? I'm not saying that this is a total write-off, but I am saying that we ripped them last year for playing their best hockey in the first 2 months and then not being able to.
We ripped them?
No, not ripping them, but that didn't lead to winning the cup anyway. So a lot of people were saying, 15-1 didn't mean anything. Well, of course it did, because that's when they laid the foundation. So this year there's more adversity early on.
Okay, but what you're doing is you're creating a narrative where you can say,
I'm not saying it wasn't important. I think it was important
at the end of the season, because what they do at the end of the season is what matters most. Of course, that's what matters most. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying as they're constructed, I don't think that they can be the team that they were last year, just in makeup, just because they don't have the speed to get to the puck as much. They can't get in the other team's face as much as they do. Of course, if they come around and they're bet, like, I'm not saying there's nowhere I'm saying the season's done. They don't have what it takes. Fold up the tent and it's all over, and that they can't, build to a better version of themselves towards the end. I'm just like, I think I've made it pretty clear. I don't think I need to state it again. We're just we're in two different spaces, and I guess we just need to leave it at that.
Sorry, I'm just not ready to put that receipt down, because I don't think I could cash it at the end of the year.
Okay, sounds good. So Ken, just, you heard it here first, thinks they're going to win the President's Trophy.
That is not what I said. I said they were not going to win the President's Trophy.
No, I'm bugging you. I'm bugging you. Dylan
Samberg, sure.
What did you see out of him tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I saw lots of glimpses of the person we expected to see from the first day of training camp. I mean, penalty kill, excellent. He's getting over reading, block shots. And Sean, I'm not sure what it looked like on TV, but when he blocked that slap shot on the one-timer, it looked like it hit him in the foot. Immediately, I thought, oh my God, this guy's played 12 shifts and now he's broke his foot again. Anyways, I saw a lot of good. I mean, yes, there were a couple plays that he would like to have back. You're going to be rusty. That's the way it goes when you're playing top 4 minutes. But overall, he was a steadying force, which is what you expect to see from Dylan Samberg. And again, for me, the more important piece of this puzzle, and again, it had nothing to do with Logan Stanley. Logan Stanley did a good job of handling top 4 minutes at a time when we weren't sure Logan Stanley was going to be in the top 6 to start the year. But they're, as a pairing, they were getting outshot and outchanced very heavily during the year. So today I thought that pairing was much more stable. And I also like Logan Stanley on the third pairing, which was good for him. I mean, Sean, he still has to he hasn't got his spot nailed down completely. He's got to be assertive as a third pairing guy and show that he is able to still play, whether it's 13 to 16 minutes, whatever it ends up being. So I liked most of Samberg's game. 2 block shots, 2 hits, 2 shots on net, created some lanes, got into shot lanes, good reads. I mean, Sean, we talked so much last year about Dylan Samberg's hockey IQ. I thought for a guy who hadn't played since the 4th exhibition game, I thought he was making a lot of great reads where some of his teammates were not having the same reads. So to me, I think that he had it's a good game and he's going to have to stack them, but I thought it was an important first start. What did you see?
Well, okay, so clearly this isn't the very best version of Dylan Samberg, but there's a number of things that he does in this game that I'm like, okay. I liken it to like if you were, a rookie coming into the NHL and you show flashes, right? And they show the flashes and you see that kid and you're like, he's going to be fine, right? Because he can already do those things. And he's only going to like become more consistent and put those things together more and more often and stack things up. There was 3 or 4 times tonight where he just grabs the puck, moves it out of the zone, gives hope to your argument, Ken, that when he gets going, they can be better defensively because they're not defending. They're getting the puck out and they're coming crashing down your throat, maybe tilting that and getting back to what you more think that they can get to, that I think that they can get to. But there's one play in particular that I see, and it's just like, it's may have been like one of the nicer plays I've seen him do defensively in his career, that it's like, I know his game is he's not at his A game. He's probably at his C+ game, which is a great game for Dylan Samberg, right? But there's a play he goes in. It's a contested puck. He's going into the boards full speed with one of the Kraken forwards. I don't know. I can't remember who it was. But as they go into the corner on the boards, he gives a little stick lift to the player when the player goes to get the puck, lifts his stick, grabs the puck, and takes it and brings it all the way on the other side of that big, huge frame of his on the boards. And now he's got the puck with nothing but open space in front of him and the defender at his back. You keep doing plays like that, defenders are going to get frustrated and they're going to reach and they're going to hook and they're going to do things like that. You're going to draw penalties like that. And if you don't draw penalties, all you're doing is getting clear, obvious exits, possessions, all those good things, and taking it out of your zone. That's like a high level skill play that I'm telling you right now, it's one of these tiny little things that you would never see at like a beer league hockey game or even a senior hockey game, right? Like every once in a while, a guy in the senior hockey game can like rip one up, bar down and in. Every once in a while, a guy can dangle a guy and do all these things. You can see some like pretty nice hockey at those levels. you never see stuff like that. Like those just fundamentals, the stuff. I'd give another example of it was when Josh Morrissey walks the line, or there was a real good example in that Vancouver game when Quinn Hughes had the puck on the boards, and I think it was Velarde who's like right on him, and he spins. He does a spinorama, but what he does is usually you do a spinorama and you move the puck around you. What he did was he moved his body around the puck, used it to shield Gabriel Velarde, get Gabriel Velarde on the wrong side, and then move the puck into the middle of the ice and go. Like those kind of plays are only pulled off by elite level players. And I saw Dylan Samberg do that, and I thought to myself, Ken, he's added to his toolkit. What we saw from Dylan Samberg last season was amazing. You heard me say it over and over again. I thought him being injured was one of the hardest things for the Winnipeg Jets to get over last season. This isn't a player who got to where he got last year and thought, I've arrived. This is who I am. I'm going to continue to do that. This is a player that I'm telling you, I took that one look at him tonight, and he went and worked in the offseason, and he's better, and he's more dynamic, and he's going to be doing things this year that he wasn't capable of doing last year.
Yeah,
so it's an early look for me, but boy, oh boy, I'm excited to see where Dylan Samberg takes his game.
Yeah, I mean, last year, again, this is hefty praise, but we talked often about slave and light, right? So I think Dylan Samberg is a person who's motivated to be in an actual conversation with slave and not slave and light. Not saying it's going to be this year, but in the next couple of years, that's where I see his game trending towards.
Let's get into 5-on-5 scoring. You touched on it. Where do you see things are going wrong with the Jets and their ability to score at even strength?
Well, I think they're getting sort of back into, again, it's not quite snake charmer style, but I think they've got to be looking to be a little bit more shoot first. And again, I'm going to say Cole Perfetti because I recognized several opportunities for him. I'm not knocking Perfetti. I know that Cole has been a pass first player, but Sean, we've talked about this for a while. If Cole is going to play with Jonathan Toews regularly, and we think that he's going to have a shoot first mentality because Toews is going to put and Vladislav Nemestikov, they're going to put him into prime shooting situations. And although Cole has great vision and he's a great passer, he's going to need to be a little bit more shoot first and be a little bit more assertive when it comes to shooting the puck. And I think Cole knows this. And again, it's just something where more game reps, he's going to be looking bang, bang on the stick. Boom is what he's going to be looking to shoot a little bit more. And again, he's not going to lose the passing element of his game. I just think that he needs to be the sniper on that line. And I think that's something that he's going to be looking for. And again, Lowry line I thought was very good again. Iafallo scores again. Another nice play on the goal, obviously. Yeah, I mean, fourth line isn't generating a whole lot of offense right now. And again, I think that changes when Barron was in there. They were scoring more. Whether that line is going to end up being Nyquist, Barron, and Koepke or Pearson, whichever player gets into that mix. The Jets need to get back to having guys that are going to be in that 7 to 10 range again for goals. Right now, they're not generating a whole lot as a fourth line. So they're also not giving up a lot. So it's even, but I think that element will get better as the season moves on as well. But yeah, I mean, the Scheifele line was on for a couple goals against. They got the breakaway goal. They got a power play goal from Connor, but they were on the negative side of the ledger again. And again, I'm not ripping them for doing that, but they had, drummed a bunch of teams in terms of outscoring them by a pretty large margin. And in the last, couple games on this trip, they were on the negative side of the ledger. So that means they need to be better too in 5-on-5. But again, the other night they went to the paint more. I don't think the Jets, Sean, we talked about this last month against Seattle. Jets didn't get to the blue paint a ton in that game either, but Iafallo's goal comes from the paint. So I just didn't see them there enough today, personally.
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky for me. I think that for me, what I need to see more of, I need to see more of a grind from this team, right? Like, this is a team that's offense is generated off of its ability to defend and to defend hard. And because that's the mindset, I think when you are not getting to that, to that personality, to that, to that imagery, to that character, then you don't get to the offensive side of things. If you're not getting to the puck to defend, if you're not on top of defending so much that you're forcing turnovers and getting guys going the wrong way, then you're not getting the opportunities that you got before. So I go back to that first goal tonight, and I think it's the Jets are a really, really good team at pressing the advantage when they get the advantage. And in the past, they've created the advantage on their own more often. Tonight, it almost happened artificially on that goal because it was a Seattle Kraken player who created the odd man rush. But the Jets, it's kind of what they do. It's who they are. They create their offense off of mistakes from the other team, and they're really, really good at creating mistakes. So for me, in order for the Winnipeg Jets to score the way that they're built, they need to create more mistakes by the opposition. That means
right on.
They need to be on top of the puck more. They need to be defending harder. They need to find a way to be what you truly believe they can be. I think they can be a really great version of that. I still think that they're a really hard team to score on typically. I just think that the pressure that you're like, it exists, Kenny, this year early on when it came to the penalty kill, right? Like, how often were players on the penalty kill stopping the defenders up on the top by the blue line, turning over the puck and creating opportunities going the other way? That's what the Winnipeg Jets do best. That's how they score. That's how they build their momentum. They're not building that momentum. So I thought that, the Jets did a good job tonight of capitalizing on errors. There's a turnover that Mark Scheifele scores off of, capitalizes on an error. There's the Iafallo goal starts off, capitalizes on an error. And I would argue the Vince Dunn's lack of effort on that play and realizing that he's going to lose the puck battle and race to Kyle Connor is an error that they capitalize on when it comes to the power play. Quite often, power plays, especially if they're not good penalties taken, are capitalizing on errors. The Winnipeg Jets are a capitalize on errors team. They are relying too much now on the other team flippantly making casual errors and not forcing them into errors. And that's what it's going to take for them to wake up their 5-on-5 scoring.
Yeah, they're not doing it enough. I mean, today, according to Natural Stat Trick, it was the high danger chances were 9-4 for Seattle at 5-on-5. So for a team that struggles to score goals, that's a pretty big disparity. Again, the Jets don't get high dangered by that high a margin by teams that struggle to score, historically. And the one thing I would say, and again, I'd have to, rewatch. I mean, you see it I didn't have access to a lot of replays unlike the folks at home, but Cole Perfetti thought that their backtracking was much better in this game. So that's something that we've talked about for the last week or so. It needs to be better. So if he saw some progress, then maybe that would be a sign of maybe getting back to forcing more of those mistakes. But right now they're not forcing enough. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, I'll say this. Even though the Jets are having trouble scoring 5-on-5, 5-on-5, 4-on-4, 4-on-3, it doesn't matter. You could score a great rate with Cambrian Credit Union just by getting a mortgage, because it doesn't have to throw you off your game if you go to Cambrian Credit Union. While you focus on home sweet home, our friends at Team Cambrian Credit Union take care of the mortgage part with their low rates. Whether you're looking for a new home, renewing, or making the switch, Cambrian is your mortgage MVP. They can help make the next season of your mortgage path easier and help save you money. Now, that's what we call a win. Head to cambrian.mb.ca/rates for more. Okay, Ken. I also want to do a shout out while you're at it.
Right on. For folks who have realty needs you'd like to have met, contact Lou Ferlin at Royal LePage Dynamic Realty, 204-791-9971, or at the office, 204-989-5000. His email is lou@louferlin.ca. That's LOU@LOUFURLAN.ca. Lou Ferlin, excellent realtor, excellent human being, and excellent supporter of the community, including this podcast.
And Ken, I don't like to stack things up like this, but I can't let this stand out any longer. Alex K says, so if Samberg is better this year, the Jets should win the Jennings. Clearly the hot take of the game here by the Flamin' Comfort hot take of the game. Well earned on this occasion. So, of course, that is your K&R hot take, brought to you by Flamin' Comfort, Manitoba's premier supplier of fireplaces, wood stoves, inserts, and everything hearth related. After 50 years heating up your world, Flame and Comfort has moved to 1465 St. James Street. And when you get down there, you will see it as one of the most impressive showrooms in Western Canada. You don't need your hot takes to keep that warm feeling inside. Visit Flame and Comfort. They'll take care of it for you. And Ken, I told you, Mrs. Renny and I went down there. Man, the options. We've got like these two fireplaces, one in the basement, one on the regular floor, that are stacked one on top of the other. So you could have like two fires roaring and using the same chimney. And we're not sure if we want to use a wood stove insert to put in there or gas or electric. And, I'll tell you this. We got to get our stuff together, because all we got was option after option after option, and everything was a great option, including just putting like glass doors on the outside of the fireplace that exists there, and just continue on with the fireplace as it is. And always really, really great service. And like a lot of, I learned a lot when I was down there, Kenny. You know me. I love to learn. I love to try.
It's true.
I take out the Encyclopedia Britannica before the show. I'll learn a word. I'll use it to make people think I'm smarter than I am. It's brilliant. And I went down to Flame and Comfort. They made me smarter than I am as well. Okay. Before we do move on, KC and his power play goal. What did you take away from that? I think Ken believes that this is the beginning of something.
I do. I think this is some unlocking, and I'm not surprised. I mean, I knew that Kyle was not going to be interested in talking about it after a disappointing third period loss from his team. But, Scott Arniel again double down on his praise of Kyle turning into more of a facilitator on the power play and doing a good job of staying productive. He also said it would release a big weight off of his shoulders. So, I just think that if you're a noted sniper like Kyle Connor obviously is, and you went and scored 9 power play goals in the first 34 games last year, and then went 60 plus without having one, and then the 13 games in the playoffs, subconsciously or not, that's going to affect how you're handling the puck on the power play. So to me, I think it is a massive development. I'm not saying he's going to rip off 10 in the next 10 games, but I do think he's going to be back to being a little bit more of a dangerous shooting option. And again, he's done a great job of being a facilitator, and his passing is exceptional. It's always been an underrated skill of his, but the Jets need him to be a shooting option on the power play for it to be even more of a threat for me.
I think the one thing that I would take away from that, if I was Kyle Connor, like it's Kyle, he's good scorers are able to find the soft spot in the goaltender. So this isn't like one of these ones where there's a tiny little corner and he puts it off, where the bar meets the crossbar and in, or the post meets the crossbar and in. He just puts it on a soft spot and gets it in. I feel like he needs to do that more often. Like, yes, he's a facilitator, and yes, he's turned into a really great decoy and open things up for everyone else around the ice. I just think what he needs to take away from this is that Kyle Connor is able to score a lot just by getting the puck towards the net more often. I thought that was one of those. Like, I think a lot, that's probably one the goalie's thinking, oh, I'd kind of like that one back. But
right,
how many goals get scored on goalies they'd like back that get scored on scorers that know exactly what they're doing? I remember there's a guy from Bossier by the name of Kelsey Buss. I don't know if you know Kelsey or not.
I do not.
I knew a couple guys who scored 50 goals in senior hockey. Lloyd Pelche was one of them. Reggie Goodfellow, who, if anyone plays that kind of hockey out there, will know exactly who I'm talking about. And Kelsey Buss. Kelsey Buss never blew a puck past a goaltender. He never put one on the bar, off the bar and in. Every single one of his shots just rattled off the arm and the chest protector and whatever, but they always found a way in because he just had an understanding of like the soft spots in the goaltender. Kyle has that. He should be searching for those soft spots more often.
It's like Leon banging it from the corner.
Yeah, exactly.
Saying, oh, it's so unlucky. Well, yes, but he's also shooting with a purpose.
Perfect proof that you can score from all around the rink. Leon Draisaitl is a perfect example of that. And speaking of all around, let's put this headband, wrap it all the way around this big old shoebox head of mine. Time to make this a Sean's headband version of the Kenny and Renny Show. And like guys like Kyle Connor and Leon Draisaitl can score from all around the rink, you can score from anywhere in the city if you have any prescription needs, health food needs, supplement needs. You just got to go to Myers. They deliver everywhere around the city. So that should be your first call. You could be like Leon Draisaitl, score from spots that no one thought you could, because Myers will take it there everywhere you need. Go give him a call. Go give him a visit and tell him Kenny and Renny sent you. Okay, time for us to get the Johnston Group Got You Covered play of the game. What do you got, Ken?
Yeah, I think there was a really nice blocked shot by Alex Iafallo in the game. So for me, again, not a ton of great candidates. I know you've got a different one, but that's what I'm going with.
So I've got Dylan DeMello on that first goal. And you know what that reminded me of? Do you remember this game? I don't know why this goal always stands out to me so much. But if you remember, the Jets a couple of years back were in Carolina, and there was a movement by the officials that year to just kind of like let the rough stuff kind of take care of itself, and they weren't going to stop a play if guys were going to indulge in it. The rest are essentially going to say, we'll punish you. Like if you want to go after a guy in the corner and rough it up, and the play continues on, and there's an odd man rush because you're too busy, face washing a guy, so be it. And the Jets kind of jumped all over that. I was down at the GM's meetings when that happened. They talked about it, and the Jets were like listening. And Dylan DeMello, I remember, is the guy who jumped on the puck, carried it out of that, and they got down and they scored. And half the guys in the scrum didn't even realize hockey was still going on and they'd been scored on. I just always think of Dylan DeMello and the times that he does jump into the play. He did it one other time tonight. The Jets got a really good scoring chance out of it. He's really good at finding that. He's not the most offensive defenseman, but he always recognizes when there's an opportunity to odd man the opposing team heading down the ice. He jumps in. It results in a goal on this night. So for me, I've got Dylan DeMello with the Johnston Group Got You Covered play of the game here tonight. Different than Kenny's. Doesn't matter. It was that kind of show, divorce lawyer kind of show. But hey, do you run a small business in Canada? You need to look to Canada's #1 employee benefits plan, Chambers Plan, to give you a competitive edge. Chambers Plan is the simple, stable, smart choice for over 30,000 businesses countrywide. Visit chamberplan.ca to learn more. And that is the Kenny and Renny OGs, the Johnston Group's Got You Covered play of the game, which brings us to the #the save of the game. What do you got, Ken?
I can't remember the shooter, but Hellebuck took one off the mask in the game. And also, I'm going to give co-winners. I don't like to do this, but I'm going to do it today. Philip Grubauer also took 2 off the mask. One from Jonathan Taves, one from Colin Miller. So I'm giving the shots off the mask at either end of the ice the keg save of the game.
I think I'll give the net front scramble there. That
it was on Shane Wright.
Yes, and it's it's just him making himself as big across the line as he can. A fortuitous play, to be honest, for the Winnipeg Jets. The puck was never covered. It ends up in the back of the net. Early whistle is a mistake.
Gloved in, though.
Gloved in.
Wasn't it gloved? That's what someone sent me on the note.
I didn't think
that Wright actually gloved it in.
Yeah, it looked like it was
either gloved it in or gloved it loose, one or the other. So it would have been a glove pass.
I'm pretty sure it's in by the stick, but I think that it was. That said, I believe Neil Pionk is in front of the net and has his glove on the puck as well. So there's glove work all over the place there. I don't know. We'd have to go back and look at that play. Regardless, that's my the keg save of the game. Doesn't matter what I think, though. Matters what you think. Share with us your the keg save of the game. You're automatically entered to win a $50 gift certificate, usable at any of the 3 fine keg locations here in the city of Winnipeg. Each location finer than the last. And our winner from our last show would be Al Broderick, who I know lives out of province, out of country, I do believe, but he's back here often enough that I think he should be able to make use of it. If he is able to make use of it or wants to make use of it. He should direct message me at SN Sean Reynolds. Send me his full name. Send me an email, and I will send him, or I will have the fine folks at the keg send him a $50 gift certificate, usable at any of the 3 fine keg locations here in the city of Winnipeg. Each location finer than the last. Ken, anything to say before we get going here?
Yeah, and this is not a knock on Hellebuck, but I do think we're going to see Eric Comrie against the Flames. Now, because it wasn't a high workload game, maybe the Jets may consider going with Hellebuck, but I'm going to stick with Comrie for now. And Eddie Olczyk, always saying hello to the good folks of Manitoba. He's got a big place in his heart from his time with the Jets. And for folks who are in the Portage-La Prairie area or are interested in supporting, Eddie O will be the keynote speaker at the Portage Terriers dinner coming up here.
Oh,
I think it's next week, I believe. So anyways, Eddie is an incredible human being. It's Hockey Fights Cancer Month. We know he's battled hard through that. He's feeling good and looking good. And anyways, just was thinking of Eddie and wanted to mention that before we go here.
Well, there you go. I'm sure he's going to have to bring it back to Winnipeg before he makes his way down the road to Portage-La Prairie. Thank you so much, folks. Again, it's another late nighter. One more of these to go before this has been a stretch. But we've always appreciated the fact that when we do these things, people show up and means a lot to us. If it means something to you that we're doing this at this time of night, we would implore you to support our sponsors who fight to keep the conversation going in this space for us. That's Jim Pattison Toyota on Regent, Cambrian Credit Union, Vittorio Rossi, Pristine Roofing, Sweet Lou Furlan, Flame and Comfort, Myers Drugs, the Johnson Group, the Kenny and Renny OGs, and of course, the Keg. Thank you to them. Thank you to all of you. We'll see you after Saturday's game against the Calgary Flames. Talk to you then. Bye-bye.